Be prepared this bank holiday. Whatever the weather. Check on the BBC Weather app.
Hello, I'm Ben Thompson. You're watching The Context on BBC News. On the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement, the UK Prime Minister calls for power sharing to return to Northern Ireland. A shooting in the US city of Louisville leaves 5 dead, including the gunman. At least 6 people are taken to hospital. Joe Biden says he plans to run for president again in 2024, but stops short of a formal announcement. And the mother of 2 British-Israeli sisters killed in an attack in the West Bank has now also died. Hello, welcome. We begin in Northern Ireland, which is marking 25 years since the signing of the Good Friday Agreement. The historic peace deal largely ended decades of violence in Northern Ireland. But Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says efforts must be intensified to restore the power-sharing government that was central to the deal. It collapsed in the fallout from Brexit, and now the political dysfunction and security concerns are threatening to overshadow the historic milestone. While Rishi Sunak will join the US President Joe Biden on a visit to Northern Ireland on Tuesday to commemorate the Good Friday Agreement. A few minutes ago, the US National Security Council spokesperson, that's John Kirby, told the White House press corps how much this trip means to President Biden. Mary Robinson, it is so good to have you with us on the programme tonight. We're so grateful for your time there, former Irish President Mary Robinson. Thank you. Thank you. Were showing you on the screen that press conference that is now underway in Louisville. Just a line of breaking news to bring you. Louisville police now naming a gunman as 23-year-old Connor Sturgeon. That is the latest line to come out of that press conference. Let's just listen into that press conference right now.
Of the governors, to Tommy's family, to the families of Jim Tutt.
Jess, for now, thank you. We'll let you go and watch the end of that press conference that is still going on. That's our correspondent there, Jess Parker, who is in Washington. So the details you can see there on the screen. Police chiefs in Louisville now identifying that gunman, Connor Sturgeon. They say he is called. He is 23 or was 23 years old. He died alongside the 4 victims, Thomas Elliott, James Tutt, Joshua Barrick and Juliana Farmer. We've been hearing there from the Louisville mayor. We've also heard from the governor of Kentucky on what is another awful day. The governor of Kentucky outlining his personal connection with one of those who was killed in this tragedy. We will stay across that story, bring you any further developments from that press conference as we get it. It's worth saying at this point too, the BBC Live page, the BBC website has full details and any further developments of events there in Louisville in Kentucky. But let's return to our other top story of the day, which is the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. We've heard from the UK Prime Minister calling for power sharing, though, to return to Northern Ireland. That is currently at stalemate related to those post-Brexit trading arrangements. Let's speak quickly to our political correspondent Ian Watson, who's been patiently standing by. Ian, it's a busy hour, so thank you for your patience. But let's talk, first of all, about what we've heard from the UK Prime Minister, because today, a very big day, of course, marking that 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. But there is still work to do, isn't there? So best of
You
luck.
can come visit anytime you want.
I was there earlier in the year. It was gorgeous. Thank you, Peter. Nice to see you. You're watching The Context. We'll have all the headlines coming up for you in just a few moments. Thanks for watching.
Right, Gemma, at this moment, I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder.
The UK's biggest cases.
Zara Alina was attacked by a stranger in Ilford.
Under arrest for causing death by dangerous driving.
We hear the stories of those who lived through them.
He said he would be able to kill me.
As told by the investigators.
There's no easy way to tell someone that their loved one's been killed.
And those left to pick up the pieces.
My last and my only memory is of my dad in a pool with his own blood.
The big cases. Watch now on BBC iPlayer.
Hello, I'm Ben Thompson. You're watching The Context on BBC News. The US investigates the leaking of dozens of intelligence documents, including details of training and weaponry for Ukraine. On the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement, the UK Prime Minister calls for power sharing to return to Northern Ireland. A shooting in the US city of Louisville leaves 5 dead, including the gunman. Several others have been taken to hospital. Joe Biden says he plans to run for president again in 2024, but stops short of a formal announcement. Hello, welcome. The US government's urgently investigating the leaking of dozens of intelligence documents on social media. The BBC has seen some of the documents, including detailed accounts of the training and equipment being provided to Ukraine. Some of the papers are labelled top secret. Well, in the last couple of hours, the White House has responded to claims that some of the information in the leaked documents may have been altered.
To darker money and whatnot, so he's going to take his time and get this all ironed out. But yeah, this is big news, and this is news that people were expecting.
We will wait and see. Wait for that formal announcement. For now, thanks, guys. Now, don't forget, you can get in touch with me and the team. I'm on Twitter. I'm at BBC Ben Thompson. You're watching The Context from BBC News.
Ukrainecast keeps you informed about the war in Ukraine.
There'll just be one family that stays to look after the village's pets whilst that village is getting bombed.
With twice-weekly updates.
People who are extremely critical of the West on Russian TV, for example, don't necessarily believe what they say.
Ukrainecast. Listen on BBC Sound.
Hello, I'm Ben Thompson. You're watching The Context on BBC News. On the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement, the UK Prime Minister calls for power sharing to return to Northern Ireland. A shooting in the US city of Louisville leaves 5 dead, including the gunman. At least 6 people have been taken to hospital. Before all that, let's get the sports, and for a full roundup from the BBC Sports Centre, here is Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hello, thank you, Ben. Right, let's take you to Spain, where Barcelona are currently in action against Girona.
Big questions. Philip, Joel, it's really good to have you on The Context tonight. Thank you for being with us. Philip Rycroft, Joel Rubin there. You're watching The Context from BBC News. Now, in a few hours, junior doctors begin a 4-day strike across England. That's according to NHS senior leader, who said that the health service will now face a perfect storm, with hospitals struggling to cover shifts affected by the action. That's because, he says, staff have booked Easter breaks. Matthew Taylor of the NHS Confederation says the action, which runs from 7 o'clock tomorrow morning until 7 on Saturday morning, means that 350,000 appointments and operations could be cancelled. He has called for the arbitration service ACAS to be brought in. While there are currently no talks taking place, the British Medical Association is sticking to its 35% pay demand. The government, though, says it won't negotiate until that demand is more reasonable. It's called the BMA's stance militant. Here is our health editor, Hugh Pym. A reminder of our top story this hour. A shooting in the US city of Louisville has left 5 people dead, including the gunman. We've been hearing testimony from the police chief, the local mayor and the local state governor. Louisville police now naming the shooter as 23-year-old Connor Sturgeon. They say he was a previous employee of the bank where the shooting took place. They say his weapon of choice was a rifle. The 4 victims have also been named: Thomas Elliott, James Tutt, Joshua Barrick and Juliana Farmer. We've also heard some pretty harrowing comments from the governor, who was closely knew very closely a friend who was killed in that attack, underlining some of the challenges faced in America by outbreaks of gun violence. Interestingly, the governor of the state saying he had previously called for tighter gun laws. They were rejected by the state legislature. You are watching The Context from BBC News. Headlines coming up for you at the top of the hour. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Hello there. Following the weekend that brought us some warm sunshine and temperatures as high as 17 degrees in Highland Scotland and the London area, well, today has been a completely different kind of day. A day of sunny spells and heavy thundery showers.